Tubesters! So, today's video is going to be I call it the binding bones. So, basically what you do is you take 2 turkey legs, and you take some red yarn or string, and you'll bind them together with a potion, which I just realized I forgot, so I'll be right back. I'm just using my basic witch's brew, which is my all-purpose anointing potion. So, the binding bones takes turkey legs and red yarn. The red yarn kind of symbolizes the blood bond, hence the color and it being a binding technique. And you can do this spell to kind of help facilitate strengthening the bond of your family. It can be extended family, it can be blood family, it can be family married in. That's kind of like the basic spell in and of itself. However, I'm going to go above and beyond this and do some healing work, because there's a lot of healing that needs in order for a happy family bond to be going on. So, I'm going to talk to you about the correspondences of each of these components of this spell work, because it's very primal looking. It looks very simple, but it's quite potent, and it has a lot of symbolism and meaning. So, ideally, you want to get 2 turkey legs from the same bird. That's the ideal. You can, of course, go about this a myriad of ways. If you are not comfortable working with animal parts, then I will give you some branches, some ideas of tree branches that you can use in place of the legs. Now, excuse me, if one of the legs breaks or it gets thrown away before you can get a hold of it, it's fine if you as long as you have 2 turkey legs, that's best. The ideal is because it includes more correspondences, not because it's necessary. And that's usually the case with most spell work. It just when someone says, you must do this, it's because it includes the most bang for your buck, so to speak, when it comes to correspondences. So, the turkey, let's say you get the ideal, you get one left and one right turkey leg from the same bird. This corresponds to the left being feminine, right being masculine, for receptive, projective force, and kind of that archetypal correspondences from the Renaissance, where the left side of the body is feminine, the right side of the body is masculine. So it's pulling from feminine, pulling from the family and the feminine and masculine parts of your family, or people in your family. Okay, so the turkey represents family, heritage, tradition, awareness, mindfulness, true expression, generosity, pride, earthing, abundance, and prosperity, all of which are great for fostering a happy, abundant, prosperous, loving family. The awareness comes into being aware of people's differences. The mindfulness comes from that awareness. You're being mindful of how you are as an individual in that family dynamic, because you're aware that the family dynamic is diverse. And so to be respectful, you're being mindful of that. It also facilitates true expression, so each member of the family is going to be true to themselves, and with that true to themselves expression, you will be, or they all will be, true to each other. So what you see is what you get is kind of going to be the thing, because they're going to express themselves honestly and openly. There's going to be pride in the family and pride in self. They're going to be generous with each other, not going to be stingy and selfish. Earthing is going to help keep it from being so chaotic. The abundance will be being an abundant family, spending lots of abundant memories, abundance in love, and prospering as a whole, and pride in our family traditions, in our heritage, and being a family, period. Red symbolizes, as I said, blood and passion. It's also a great warding protector. So that's going on there. Normally I would try and get wool yarn, but I couldn't find that, so I just got, what was that, Hobby Lobby. But if you're able to get the wool yarn, that's going to include correspondences of security, that nurturing nature, because it comes from the female sheep, which is the ewe, support, balance, and determination. Legs and bones in general are great for foundation, strength, especially when it comes to the turkey, because the turkey's not much of a flying bird. It can flutter, but it's kind of like chickens and penguins. It doesn't, well, penguins kind of swim actually, but it's not much of a flying bird. So a lot of its strength comes in its legs. It's also tapping into that primal folk, ancient magic, connecting to the ancestors, because it's the bones are the foundation of the body. So this is tapping into the foundation of our existence and DNA. And it's connected to the element of earth, which is all about foundations, family, and tradition. The cross is a ward symbol. So it's for offensive protection. That means that it, defensive protection takes on the blows, whereas offensive protection, kind of blast the blows away, kind of attacks it without the negative connotation, of course. It taps into the cardinal directions, disbursement to the four corners of the earth. So that's how this ward is acting, is that when the offensive force comes towards a cross shape, it blasts it away, because it's, think of it as like the chaos magic sigil, which is a 8-pointed or 8 arrows type of sun cross symbol. It's doing the same thing. It's dispersing it to the four corners of the earth. It's breaking it up and dispersing it so it can't come back together again. When it hits the symbol, it thwarts and amplifies the initial force, causing the destruction, which weakens the force and allows for it to be dispersed. So what that means is the initial force is coming. It hits this. This is so strong that you can say it doubles the force that this was bringing, which is twice as powerful as what this initial force was bringing. So it breaks it up, and then because of its shape, it, once it's broken, it disperses to the four corners of the earth. So this is going to also protect your family, as well as foster binding and keeping them together. Okay. Um, so I'm gonna give you some substitutions for if you don't want to use bones. You could probably use chicken. I just don't feel it would be the best. I feel like if you have to do substitutions, you might as well just go to using branches, tree branches at that point. And when it comes to branches, I suggest you get them that are about 1/2 inch to 1 inch in diameter, at the thinnest point, and exceeding no more than like an inch, inch and a half at its thickest point, just so it's easier to manage. So, um, there's 5 types of trees you can use as substitutions. I'm going to go over the specific ones and then a general one. So one of them is pomegranate. If you have pomegranate branches, this is great if you're wanting to connect with your, because it's connected to the dead or death, this would be great for using to connect with your dead relatives. Let's say you don't want to connect with your living ones, But you do want to connect with your ancestors, or so that way you can kind of get a better understanding of your heritage, be able to honor them and respect them, or whatever. Maybe you are adoptive, you want to connect with your ancestors so they can help you find your living relatives or whatever. So you can use the pomegranate branches in that regard. Hawthorn branches would be good for the living relatives. So that would be like maybe you're not comfortable connecting with death or any type of necromancy or whatever. You just want to connect with those that are alive now. Again, maybe you're adopted, but you just don't want to go down the necromantic path. Rowan is good for both. Okay, so it's good. So Rowan is good for both, but for the spirit line family slash ancestor members. This means living and dead. Spirit line means that they're like your spirit family. So this would be people that are, your vibe attracts your tribe. That's kind of what the Rowan is doing here. So if you're a witch, it's going to attract other witches. That would be your spirit line family and ancestors. So you'll learn about witches that have died. You'll find witches that are alive and thriving. And then Olive is a lot like Rowan. It's good for the dead and the living, but it's for your bloodline. So this is going to be your heritage. Those are related to you by DNA. Now, if none of those are available to you, you can always do a tree that is associated with spending time with family. So this would be a tree where everyone either has gathered around for family functions, i.e. barbecues, holidays, bonfires, etc., or they, it usually has that type of memory association with it. So binding substitutions, you can use ivy, willow twigs, honeysuckle, hemp cord, grapevine, or corresponding cotton thread. And that would be because you wouldn't want to use the wool because it came from an animal. Oh, a good little tip is if you're using branches, keep the extending leaves, twigs, and or fruit. And this is going to represent your extended family, or the non-blood related members, like those adopted from homosexual parents or whatever. And if you're trying to get the turkey bones, then you can always get it from your Thanksgiving meal. If you have the most recent Thanksgiving meal, that's going to kind of bring in that family, that energy of togetherness. I think that's it. So now we're going to go into actually creating the spell, and we're just going to go on with it. Alright, so what I did is I measured out about 18 inches or from the top of your middle finger to your elbow, and I did that 3 times for the yarn, and that's just so I can have enough for like a thick, sturdy binding. Alright, so what we're going to be doing is deciding what your front is going to be and what your back is going to be. And this is going to be in accordance to how the branches or bones lay most naturally. And you want it to be roughly in the center. If you need some help, you can always just glue it to hold it down, but you can usually get away with just leaving it there and just adjust as needed. So you're going to take one of your ends of the yarn, and you're going to start crossing it over on the front. And the crossing, again, fosters that protection. And then on the back side, you're going to have a square, and that's going to represent stability. and you just want one end to kind of stay as a loose end, so that way you can use it to tie it together. Alright. So we start with the over, and then we're gonna go under this one. Then we go over for the cross. Then we're gonna go under this one. And then we're gonna go over the first cross that we did. And then we're gonna go under this one, go back over the second cross, and then under this one. And then we just repeat that the whole time. And it's fine if you don't do it perfectly or keep up with the pattern or whatever. And I just have it wrapped around my fingers and just letting some of it go as I need it. And as you see, it starts to hold itself with the tension that you don't have to worry about holding it in place anymore. If you want to say some words of power, you can, but you don't need to. Once you get to the end, you're gonna tie them together by the power of mind. By the power of body. By the power of soul. And by the power of spirit. All right. So that's pretty much what it's going to look like. And then this is pretty much all you do, and then you could do any intention setting, anything along the lines of bringing the family back together. May our bond be strong and protected. It kind of can go any way you wish at this point. I'm going to take it a step further and include some herbs I will be sprinkling over it to facilitate healing, strengthening the bonds, and fostering love. So I'm just gonna scoop some lavender. This is for the healing. So just 1 spoon of lavender. And I'm gonna do 1 spoon of basil. And then lastly, I'm gonna do 1 spoon of oregano. And that is to strengthen the bonds. And you're gonna wanna mix it up loosely. And that's pretty much what it's gonna look like here. I'm gonna enchant that real quick and then I'll be right back. Actually, I'm gonna close these first. And then with your binding bones in the center roughly, you're gonna take the mix and just sprinkle it so until all the mix is gone. Now I would personally use all of this, unless you want to do this for, actually I'm gonna save the rest of it, and I'm gonna do it for a total of, probably 3 days. I could probably do another 2 out of here. I'm gonna sprinkle a little more actually. And then you can do this for as many days as you wish. You can make more of the herbs and repeat it as you will. But I just wanted to kind of share this with y'all because, you know, sometimes we just don't have the support we need, or things happen where people move and the family's not as strong as it once was. Deaths in the family. There's a myriad of reasons why one's family can be estranged. So I thought this would be a good working that y'all could do to help kind of fix that. I did realize I forgot to anoint the bones, so I'm gonna do that real quick. And you could anoint them as you would like any candle or anything that you would anoint with oil. Alright. And what I basically just did there is kind of just, you can kind of refer to it as like awakening the spirit of the turkey, or calling on the spirit of the turkey through the bones, to kind of help foster what it is I wish for the family, and then to kind of keep it protected and bound together, but also all the correspondences I told you that turkey already has. So that's pretty much it, and I hope it serves you well, and as always, abundant and eternal blessings. Mwah.